So this is going to be the Chariot. I'm going to compare a bunch of different cards and see. And here is the Chariot and the Rider White. So I want to talk a little bit about that. If you can notice, that card, you know, it's funny, this is a movement card. The Chariot's about moving fast, moving in a direction. It's victory too. But I see this one, it's funny because I don't see speed in this. I see someone, the animals are definitely sitting still. You see that? And I feel like that just doesn't feel like speed to me. When I'm reading the card, I do know what it means. So I go, okay, you know, it's moving. And I do look at the guy holding the reins. I mean, he's holding the reins. He is guiding them, but they don't appear to be moving. So I'm like, okay, well, that's the Rider White. Now the Chariot is about forward movement. It's about, to me, it's about a victory, but it's more about, when I see it, I think about moving so fast, and do you have the reins? Someone else is controlling the vehicle. So if it comes up in a reading and it's about movement of any kind, I kind of feel like, do you have the control you need? Are you going so fast that, let's say you go off the road and you're going to hit some pebbles or rocks and crash? You know, it could be so out of control if you're not careful. It's that kind of speed. But it's also the control. So, you know, you're only holding the reins. You're only doing so much. The speed of the vehicle and the people pulling it are the ones with the speed, and the ones that have the true control of what's happening, whatever this reading is about, right? It's really what's happening there. So the Chariot in the World of Vision Tarot, I always mess this up. To me, it looks fast. It is going up, so I feel like it's not quite maybe as fast as some of the other cards. I do feel like he has a little more control for some reason. However, the horses are on their hinds, so what's that telling you too? Again, you know, looking at this card, what do you see, and how does that make you feel? You know, I look a lot at it and I think, okay, I can see the clouds, I can see him going up, I can see the movement. It's going up, so I feel like it's definitely a positive movement. Anytime you're moving upwards, I feel like that speaks to the card too. So how does that make you feel? And you're looking at it and you compare all of these others, and can't wait to get to the Somnia because I always read it so differently. I talked about this one in like journaling cards, and I had it next to another movement card where one felt like it was going away. Oh, it was Knight of Swords, I think. So this comes up to me and says, okay, here we go. But I feel like this is really moving, and I feel like it's moving forward, not away. I feel like it's moving towards me. It is chaotic, but with the black and white horse, I feel a little more balance there. I think that's what, like, having two different color horses kind of tells me, especially black and white, right? A little bit more balance, a little bit more, not as much chaos. He is, however, on the top, and what's he doing up there? And is that dangerous? So I look at that a lot too, you know, when I'm reading and I come across this, I'm like, okay, you know, you're moving really fast towards this thing, whatever it is. You know, it's a love reading, you know, it's coming in really fast, but is it steady? And are we taking chances by being on top of that Chariot? So I almost feel like it's a taking chances kind of card, you know, not just going fast, but almost like taking chances. So I feel like, you know, when I'm reading with this light Seer, the speed is there, the color is there. I love the color in it. It feels warm in a way, cozy, but energetic at the same time, because it's got the purple that kind of downplays the orange and the red and the yellow in it. But there is speed around it. And this card has like just the light around it and stuff. You can see that. So Yeah, that's the light Seer Chariot. I like that one. So this one really kind of gives me a whole different feel. This is Somnia Tarot. They're in the water. There is two people controlling the chariot, one sitting in the chariot. I do again find balance. I've got black, white, red. So I'm finding a little bit more balance with that. Now, most of these horses have two colors. But so that makes me feel like there's just a little bit more balance. But I feel like it's moving slow. Like when I pull this, and I get, oh, the chariot's supposed to be fast, but I feel like they're slow. I mean, when you're in water, you can't move as fast, especially if you don't have the gear, you know, things like that. Sorry, my cat's like playing with things on the wall, making noises. So I feel like it's a little slower, and it feels to me almost like hesitant, like this, you know, when I'm doing it, using it in a reading, it's like you've got this energy to go, but you're stuck. It's almost like stuck, but going. It's a strange energy to me. Just knowing the meaning of the chariot, knowing the speed behind the chariot, and then I see it kind of stuck. So I feel like it's this almost want to go, but something's holding you back. So which usually isn't the chariot. You know, usually if you look up meanings on the card, there's no holding that chariot back. This one feels more so that way. And I do, again, read from how I look at the card. When I'm looking at the card, I'm like, oh my gosh, you know, I really just feel like something's holding back. And it's really funny, I will say, you know, when I'm comparing these cards and I do readings with different cards, it's funny how I'll gravitate towards a deck and, you know, the chariot comes up or whatever card that's a lot different in this deck, and the reading ends up being so spot on. So I feel like there's a lot to be said with, you know, using your intuition to choose a deck. I'm hoping to do readings at, you know, fairs or something, and I'll bring several decks and let the querent pick their deck, because I think that might be interesting as well. But yeah, that's the Somnia. I feel like it's a little more less speed. I feel like it's more balance. I feel like it's movement. I just feel like it's not as fast. So it being not as fast, they probably have a lot more control in it. And then I have the Chariot and the Golden Art Nouveau. I will tell you, this is not, I love the deck. It's pretty, but it reminds me a lot of the Rider White, which is fine. And what's nice about it is when I want to read, I use Rider White again with a lot of times in clarification. So when I don't get what's being told to me, I want to go back to basics. I pick the Rider White to do that, or this deck if I have it, because it's so similar, and it will help me understand it a little bit better. But again, this one's really similar to the other Chariot. You know, this really too, we go back to journaling. It's really, that's why journaling is so important. Once you just start building that habit of looking at everything in the card, how it makes you feel, you know, the color that you first notice, all of those things. Once you start doing that, it becomes habit. So when you start reading, you're not just reading by the meaning of the card. You're reading, you know the meaning, you know, try to know the meanings just in your head. But then, you know, I go by how it makes me feel at the time. What's my first focus on it, and then use that within the meaning of the card too. That's kind of how I read. It's really funny. I want to tell you how I learned all the meanings. So I was journaling. I was using actually this deck, and I would journal, and I was going through all the meanings of the cards. I go through them every day, almost every card. But I had some dental work done, and I had to go in, and I hate the dentist, so I had to get my mind off of them working on my teeth, and I would literally close my eyes and in my head picture each card. So I'd go through the wands and picture the Ace of Wands, and then tell myself what it meant, and then the Two of Wands, and if there was any I couldn't remember, or I would make a mental note. Sometimes I would forget, but I'd try to make a mental note, or I couldn't remember what that meant, and go look it up when I got home. So if you could find time, like maybe in the car, you know, when you're on your way home from work, or you're going on a trip, use that time to really kind of dig into the cards. But that's not what we're talking about today. Anyway, this is the Gilded Tarot, and this is the Chariot here. I will tell you, I like this deck. I learned on this deck. So the book that goes with it is really good. She gives really good information on how to journal. The meanings are very close to Rider-Waite, although not exact. But this gives me the same feeling as the Rider-Waite. It doesn't put me in any specific way. I feel the speed from it. Because I learned on this deck too, and I looked up the meanings, I correlate those to this deck a lot, like, you know, her meanings of the cards. So that's another thing. The other thing I want to bring up too, as I'm comparing decks and comparing cards, another way to really just start learning different meanings and getting different takes on cards is picking a couple tarot readers online. I listen a lot to Minnow Pond and Austin. I love Austin's meanings of the card, I will tell you. Minnow Pond does a really good job of the explanations. He's really good at that, and but I feel like it's the same all the time, which is fine. It's a good way to ingrain the meanings, and some people read that way, but he does read intuitively too. And then Austin reads and has a lot of astrology knowledge, and I really like his take on the cards. He will look at them and say, oh, this is how I feel right away. The other thing too is I'll put together something and we'll go, how does this make you feel right away? You look at the entire layout and go, what does that feel like? It changes as you read it. It can, because, you know, all of a sudden you're going, oh no, that's not it. But yeah, so yeah, I'll tag them on my thing because I think they're just good to watch. You don't have to. I don't always watch them for the divination part of it. I just like listening to them and listening to their take on the cards, how they also, you know, take their spread and give that information. So if you're just learning, how do I do a reading? They've got really good ways of delivering the message, and their spreads are spot on. Like, they have placements, so which makes it a little easier to read. Baba Jolie, I also like her meanings of the cards. However, I feel like her spreads, even though I'm sure they are, when you're watching her, it's not as easy to place the placements. She's very good as well, and really intuitive and kind of fun to watch. Her videos are very long, which is good if you have time. Austin's and Minnow Ponds are usually between 13 and 18 minutes. They're you know, short enough where you can listen to the whole thing. But I do recommend that. So this is the Chariot in the World of Vision, Somnia, no, World of Vision, Light Seer, Somnia, Golden Art Nouveau, and Gilded Tarot. And then of course a peek at the always in our face Rider-Waite. So thank you very much and have a great day.